Speaking at the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco this afternoon, research developer at Blizzard Adasha Miller shared how to best implement social features into Overwatch to promote positive behavior among players. The two social features mentioned above include endorsements, designed to reward positive behavior, good sportsmanship, supportive teammate, etc., conveyed through a level system. Looking for growth, game players the options to link up with players who had a similar playstyle. Miller explains that one of the first steps Blizzard took in fostering positive behavior was adding a thank you message to players after they sent a report. On the flip side, they studio began sending out warning messages to players, accumulating verified penalties. We wanted to give them a chance to change their behavior after we penalized them, Miller said. Blizzard decided to focus on prevention first. How do we go about preventing these behaviors? We did research in the form of focus groups and surveys. Miller mentioned two key areas that usually encourage disruptive behavior among Overwatch players. The first being a lack of social consequence. By performing well within society's expectations, you are rewarded. In online communities, there are not effective consequences, she said. Thus, bad behavior. She added that there also was not a clear way to reward players either, and it was important to highlight those who did play nice. Implementing endorsements was a way to focus on the lack of social consequences. In-game positive reinforcement rewarded players for good behavior, and can be given to enemy team as well. The more endorsements the player acquires, the higher their level becomes. This feature uses positive reinforcement to build a good player, Miller said. It encouraged consistent, positive play and consequence for deviating from that. If you are not consistently getting endorsements, if you slip up, you are not going to get endorsements and your level is going to flip, she added. If a player does slip up and their level falls, Miller said it was a form of loss aversion. This often causes players to want to get that level back and keep going, which offers a path to redemption. Miller also said that peer recognition was important and endorsements had a positive impact on players after a match. The decision to add loot boxes as a reward after a player's endorsement level increased was something Blizzard hesitated with. It was a really big discussion for us. We did not want to encourage the wrong behavior either. We wanted most of the push to be good to come intrinsically. So loot boxes as reward operated under a more randomized schedule. Even if you slipped, you could come back. If players slipped during any randomized checks, they would not receive rewards. Miller then provided some data as to whether or not the social systems worked. Endorsements in particular. There was a 40% reduction in matches that contained disruptive behavior since implementation. When asked if they saw it as a product of the system, players agreed. The system makes people nicer. Miller explained that players appreciated they were able to show thanks and support for their team. In addition, 50 to 70% of players have given endorsements. Miller concluded by saying that the team was happy with the results so far, and planned on improving upon the systems and maybe implementing more in the future. In 2018, I experienced one of my biggest shifts in video gaming behavior over the past decade. Overall, the industry is going through some interesting changes with the introduction of Epic and Discord's game marketplaces, and an explosion of games available on Steam and no storefronts. Personally, it was a big change of me, because I moved in with my fiancée, got married, and overall had less time for my old gaming habits. Instead of playing mostly new games, I have played a mix of new and old games over the past year. Here are some of the trends in my gameplay habits that I noticed in 2018. I started working for Zynga in June, and shortly before then I started exploring mobile games, such as Words with Friends Tour. My commute also changed over the past year, and I have more time commuting on the train that I can now spend playing games. One of the genres that I have kept on my phone throughout the year is match-3 titles, including Crazy Cake Swamp, Wonka's World of Candy, and Candy Crush Friends Saga. This is the first year that I really got into mobile gaming, and I have even started playing some of these games outside of my commute. Another trend in my gaming habits that I have noticed in the past year is playing games on easier modes. Since I have less time to play games, I want to get through games quicker, rather than constantly replaying sections of a game. I found myself setting the difficulty level on Wolfenstein 2 to easy mode, so that I could make progress through the game more quickly. I still enjoy challenge in games, but like the ability to take shortcuts to progress the story. Procedural content generation (POP) has already seen huge success, with level generation in Minecraft and weapon creation in Borderlands. But this year was the first time that I experienced a game using POP for creating high-fidelity 3D levels. I started playing the Descenders game preview on X1, and really enjoyed the feel of the generated levels. While the early game levels became repetitive after a bit, the later zones in the game added enough terrain configurations to keep the levels diverse and interesting. I also tried out some new genres of games this year, including Gone Home. This game has been out for a while, but I finally took the time to play it after downloading it when it was offered through Live. I enjoyed the pace of the game and the focus on narrative, and it aligned well with my focus on more casual gameplay experiences. As mentioned with Gone Home, I have purchased fewer games directly over the past year, and have taken advantage of more of the games available through Live and PS Plus. One of my favorites that I replayed this year was Schools of the Shogun, where I played through the DLC content for the first time. Over the past year, I have kept my number of gaming subscriptions steady, while decreasing my number of video streaming subscriptions. These been exploring subscription services for a few years, with the Access and Origin Access, and X Game Pass is shaping up to be a great service as well. I have also been replaying some of favorite games over the past year. Remastered editions, such as Dark Souls, provided a great nudge to encourage me to revisit these classic titles. Between remastered titles, X-backwards compatibility, and classic console releases, there's several options for going back and enjoying older games. This is a trend in my gameplay habits. It logged about back in 2015, and it's been great seeing more availability of classic titles. Ben Weber is the principal data scientist at Zynga, with rehiring. Electronic Arts published its latest NGS report today, and it seems like a weak third quarter based on the fact that the company has lowered its revenue outlook for the future. Its shares went down 9% following the news. The company lowered projections for its full-year adjusted revenue from $5.20 billion to $5.75 billion, attributing the cut to challenging third quarter. It reportedly earned $262 million in profits and $1.28 billion in revenues generated during its third quarter, which includes 3 months prior to December 31st. The video game industry continues to grow through a year of intense competition and transformational change. Chief Executive Andrew Wilson said in a statement, Q3 was a difficult quarter for Electronic Arts, and we did not perform to our expectations. This lines up with what was expected for Q3, despite launching Battlefield V back in November 2018. The game shared a similar launch window to titles like Red Dead Redemption 9 and Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and fell behind in terms of dollar sales. Wilson admits that Battlefield V did not meet expectations, but mentions focusing on maintaining long-term live services for players. We are very excited about Apex Legends, the upcoming launch of Anthem, and the deep line-up of new experiences that we will bring to our global communities next fiscal year. He added, as for Q4, he printed $163 billion in net revenue and $170 million in net income. March 31st also marks the end of its fiscal year, with the company predicting net revenue for the year of roughly $875 billion, and a net income of $980 million. Physical games have deeply influenced the way we make video games, and in recent years, the opposite has also become true.